We often boast about human love. We write poems about it. We make movies about it. We promise to love each other until death do us part. But what happens when death actually arrives? For humans, life eventually moves on. The tears dry, the black clothes are put away, and the world keeps spinning. But what if there was a love that refused to move on? A love so fierce, so blindingly loyal, that it looked at the finality of death and said, "I will not leave your side." Today, we are going to tell you the story of a bond that shattered the boundaries of life and death. A story that left an entire town in tears, and made everyone question who truly understands the meaning of love, humans, or the animals we think we own. Prepare yourself, because this is the heartbreaking, true story of the ultimate loyalty. To understand how this tragedy unfolded, we have to go back to the beginning. In a quiet, peaceful neighborhood, an elderly man lived out his final years. He lived mostly in isolation. His wife had passed away years prior, and his only son had grown up, moved to the big city, and become consumed by the fast-paced modern life. The old man was lonely until he found a companion. A young, stray dog. From the moment their eyes met, they became inseparable. The dog wasn't just a pet, he was the old man's shadow. Where the old man walked, the dog followed. When the old man sat on his porch to watch the sunset, the dog's head rested gently on his knee. They shared meals, they shared long walks, and they shared a quiet understanding that didn't require a single human word. The dog knew when the old man was in pain. The old man knew exactly what every wag of the dog's tail meant. They were a family of two. But as the years crept up, the old man's health began to fail. His breathing became shallow, and his steps grew heavy. Through every long night of coughing and pain, the loyal dog never left the bedside. He would lay his warm head against the old man's cold feet, trying to give him his own warmth. Then, the inevitable happened. One rainy morning, the old man didn't wake up. His heart had finally given out in his sleep. The son was notified, and he rushed back to his father's house. Amidst the chaos of calling the ambulance, organizing the funeral, and dealing with paperwork, the son barely noticed the dog. The dog was sitting quietly in the corner of the bedroom, his eyes fixed on the empty bed. He didn't bark. He didn't cry. He just stared with a profound, crushing sadness that no human could fully comprehend. The funeral was held on a cold, overcast Tuesday. The old man was buried in the local cemetery at the edge of the town. The son shed his tears, hugged his relatives, and packed up his father's belongings. Before leaving back to the city, the son looked at the dog. Remembering his father's love for the animal, the son decided to take the dog with him. He promised himself he would give the dog a good life in memory of his father. But a house is not a home without the person you love. In the Sun City apartment, the dog was like a ghost. He refused to play. He barely touched his food. He would just stare at the front door, waiting for a man who would never walk through it again. Just 3 days after the funeral, the son woke up to a shocking discovery. The apartment door, which hadn't been latched properly, was slightly open. The dog was gone. Panic set in. The son drove through the busy city streets, calling the dog's name. He posted flyers, contacted animal shelters, and searched every alleyway. How could a dog survive in this massive, dangerous city? The son felt a heavy wave of guilt. He had failed his father's last request. 2 days passed with no news. The son was losing hope. Then, late in the afternoon, his phone buzzed. It was an unknown number. When he answered, the voice on the other end sounded shaken. It was the caretaker of the cemetery where his father was buried. The caretaker asked, "Sir, did your father own a large, dark-colored dog?" The son's heart raced. Yes. Yes, he did. Did you find him? The caretaker took a deep breath and said, You need to come down here immediately. I've never seen anything like this in all my years of working here. The dog is at your father's grave, and he is desperately digging at the soil." The son rushed to his car and drove as fast as he could to the cemetery. When he arrived, his heart broke at the sight. There, under the gray sky, was the dog. His paws were covered in mud, and his nose was scratched from trying to dig through the hard earth. He was trying to reach the only person who had ever truly loved him. The son gently approached, comforted the crying animal, and put him in the back of his car. He brought him back to the city, locked the doors carefully, and tried to comfort him. But love cannot be caged by brick walls. The very next morning, the dog managed to slip out through an open window. Where did he go? Straight back to the cemetery, walking miles across dangerous highways and busy streets. The son went and fetched him a second time. But the next day, it happened again. A third time, the dog escaped. No matter how many locks the son put on the door, the dog's internal compass only pointed to one place, his master's resting place. Finally, seeing the dog's absolute desperation, the son made a heartbreaking decision. He realized that keeping the dog in the city was killing his spirit. He decided to let the dog stay at the cemetery. The son brought a warm blanket and placed it near the tombstone. He set down bowls of the dog's favorite food and fresh water. He knelt down, stroked the dog's fur, and whispered, "I'm sorry." But the dog didn't look at the food. He didn't look at the blanket. He just sat upright, facing the tombstone, acting as a silent, eternal guard. He became fiercely protective. If any stranger or cemetery visitor came too close to the grave, the dog would growl, standing as a shield over his master's body. For an entire week, the cemetery staff watched in absolute awe and heartbreak. Days turned into nights. The weather turned bitterly cold, and rain poured down on the graveyard. The son returned every day to check on him, begging him to eat. But the dog refused every single bite. His grief was the only thing keeping him alive. He was starving himself to death, choosing to fade away rather than live in a world without his master. On the seventh night, a terrible storm hit the town. The next morning, when the sun finally broke through the clouds, the cemetery caretaker walked out to check on the grave. The cemetery was completely silent. As he approached the old man's tombstone, he saw the dog. But something was different. The dog wasn't standing guard anymore. He was curled up into a ball, resting directly on top of the soil of the grave, looking as if he was fast asleep. The caretaker walked closer and gently called the dog's name. There was no movement. He reached down and touched the dog's fur. It was cold. The loyal companion had drawn his very last breath during the storm. He had died of a broken heart, refusing to abandon his master even in death. He died right there, lying on top of the man he loved. This tragic story leaves us with a profound truth that we must never forget. Humans may have the power of speech, we may build cities, and we may think we are the wisest creatures on earth. But when it comes to the pure, unconditional capacity to love, sometimes, animals possess a loyalty that puts humanity to absolute shame. They don't just love for a lifetime, they love beyond it. If this story touched your heart, please leave a comment below about your own pets, share this video with someone who loves animals, and don't forget to subscribe for more true, emotional stories. Until next time, take care.